What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday evening, one day away from the weekend. Welcome to another edition of Giants Collective. As always, joined by Adriana down there, Anthony over there, Chris down there. Big shout out to Seatgeek for always sponsoring Giants Collective. Guys, check out Seatgeek. Get your tickets over there. If you're going to do that, make sure you use that promo code Giants Collective 10. Links in the description. You get 10% off your tickets on SeatGeek. Also, check us out on Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple for checking out our podcast. You can check us out on TikTok and Instagram as well. If you want to become a member, you just click that join button. You get the cool emojis, your name in the outros, because we do have the outro back, which is a beautiful thing. And speaking of outros, well, the Giants were outroed in week one, an embarrassing performance as for the third year in a row, they were unable to score a touchdown opening day. Again, looked unprepared, looked scared. Abdul Carter played fifth. I don't know where people are getting 30% of the snaps. My calculations were 50, but maybe I missed something. Regardless, he didn't play enough. Scattaboo, I saw on Twitter he had the angry run of the week. That's awesome. He had 2 carries. Maybe we can get him involved. What are we doing? All right, I'm not gonna rant. Adriana, give us your keys to if the Giants are gonna win this game on Sunday, that'd be amazing. But if they're going to win it, how would you go about doing it? You're Coach Dable. What do you got in store for the Cowboys?
Well,
except you're like 200 pounds lighter than him, but other than that, you have hair. Other than that, what are you doing?
Okay, so I'm giving Scat more reps. That's easy. He needs to have more reps. And it's not a knock on Tracy. I love Tracy. He's a good back. But they need someone in there to help open up the run game. And we saw Scat. He's going to go headfirst into people, and he's not easy to take down to the ground. So if it's 3rd and 2 or, 1st and 10, and you think you could get a couple yards out of Scat, get him more involved. I want to see him get more carries. The second thing with the offensive line is if they're struggling, I want to see them add more players onto the field to block. We've seen them do this in the past where they had 6 or 7 offensive linemen, or they had, 2 or 3 tight ends. They've rotated things up. I want to see that. Chris Manhertz, I think, needs way more snaps this week too, to help block on the outside and just give Russ that little bit of time. I really want to see Darius Slayton more involved. Obviously, I know so many things hinge on the offensive line. So I am also getting Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, and Jalen Hyatt involved as a slot receiver. They all have the speed. If you have to dump off the ball because you have 1 second to dump it 2 yards, give it to one of those guys and see if they can take it, if they can break tackles, if they can get 5 or 7 yards. We already know that the Cowboys are missing Deron Bland, who is their nickel corner, and he's the best nickel corner. They're obviously going to be playing the number 2 in there. So I don't want to see Wandale in the slot every snap this week. You've got an opportunity to take advantage of the fact that you have a backup nickel corner, put someone in there with the speed that is going to be able to take advantage of that and get a couple more snaps or a couple yards out of it. And then, Shane Bowen, get your shit together, my guy. The thing that pissed me off the most about this is that as the head coach, they sat down and had conversations before the game, and Brian Dable was okay with the fact that Shane Bowen said, we're going to run a lot of zone and we're only going to have the 3 pass rushers on the field for a couple amount of snaps. That is unacceptable. I understand that Abdul Carter is the best when he's on the edge, and you don't want, him and Kayvon rotating snaps every time, or him and Burns, whatever. I get that, but Abdul Carter is versatile. So rotate him on the edge, put him as an inside linebacker. We're going to need help with the linebackers. Darius Muasau out there. So I just feel like they have to take advantage of the fact that Abdul Carter is versatile, and he better be in there for 80% of the snaps. I don't care what he's doing. Get him on the goddamn field. He's one of the best players on the defense. So we need to see a lot more of Abdul Carter this week. And Jamie Gillen, for fuck's sake, do Scottish Hammer for a reason.
I want to see a lot less of him, and I don't want to see him on the field, ideally. But yes, he needs to do a much better job. Yes.
The guy is nicknamed the Scottish Hammer for a reason. Can you prove to us why that's your nickname, please?
Yeah. Scottish Mallet. That's what he was. Anthony, you're Coach Dable, except for you're 30 years younger, and you're also 200 pounds lighter, and you have your hair. What are you doing as the head coach? What's your game plan to beat the Cowboys?
The game plan to beat the Cowboys really shouldn't be all that complex. It should be really simple. Just get the ball to Malik Neighbors. Obviously, with DeRon Bland out, that's step one. You've already got a weakness to expose in that secondary. But number two, if you took a look at what Dallas did last week defensively, I found this chart of the defensive coverage usage for all teams in the NFL last season. And the Dallas Cowboys ran man coverage on 0% of their snaps. They ran zone coverage for the entirety of that game, and they ran cover 3 zone 42% of the time. So what that's going to do for you, leave a lot of open routes underneath. You got to take what the defense gives you, and you got to create yards after the catch. But what it also does for you, if they're going to sit with a single high safety and play a lot of cover 3, it's going to create one-on-one opportunities on the outside for Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton. And that's what you need to attack. When a defense is playing a lot of zone coverage, especially with one high safety, you'll have a lot of opportunities where they just sit back and make you throw it right in front of them. And then it's going to be on the guys like Wandale, Malik, and those other receivers to create those yards after the catch. But it's also definitely going to be on Malik Neighbors on the outside, one-on-one coverage to make those plays. And that's going to be, can Russell Wilson hit those deep balls? That's essentially what this is going to boil down to. Because if they're going to play that cover 3, and if they're going to press cover your wide receivers, which most teams do press cover Malik Neighbors because you have to jam him at the line of scrimmage, otherwise he's going to toast you regardless. If that's going to be the case, then Russell Wilson's deep ball needs to be on point. Last week, for whatever reason, Russell Wilson couldn't hit the deep ball nearly as efficiently as he has in the past. He left a few of them short. He had one of them that he left long to Wandale Robinson, and then a couple of them were just plain uncatchable, inaccurate. He needs to be better in that regard, and this is the perfect opportunity to get right if you're Russell Wilson. You're going up against a bad defense that's already lost its best player, Micah Parsons. They traded him away. They're banged up now, so their best player that they had post-Micah Parsons is no longer on the field. You have to expose this defense. And if you don't score a touchdown by halftime as Brian Dable, you have to make an adjustment. That's my take on it. So if you're asking me what I would do if I'm Brian Dable, I'm coming out swinging. I'm asking Russell Wilson to push the ball downfield, be as aggressive as possible, and attack this zone coverage defense. And if he's unable to score a touchdown and we're in the halftime interval, I'm making the quarterback change. And I'm seeing if that sparks anything, because I can't think of another solution when you're going up against this bad defense that sits in a zone. You better have touchdowns by the time the first half ends.
Chris, you're much younger than Daboll, 200 pounds lighter, and you have all your hair. What are you doing? What's your game plan to beat Dallas?
I'm at a loss for words in terms of being optimistic about this team, if I'm being honest. I went into last week thinking they had a good chance to win that game. They got completely obliterated. They've come out very sluggish to start the year, the last 3 years. I'm not confident going into this game. I'm not going to paint it like I'm confident going into this game. If they're going to stand a chance to win, I mean, it looks like Andrew Thomas isn't going to play again. Giants are 3-15 in the last 18 games he hasn't played. Call it whatever you want. I know Anthony said I'm tired of excuses. The fact of the matter is the offensive line is trash when he's in there, and it's a dumpster fire when he's not. So if he's not going to play this week, I think the Giants are going to struggle again offensively. I hate to say it, regardless of how poor of a defense that Dallas is. Now, the Giants may be able to put up more points they did last week. They better be able to. But the thing that worries me going into this game, Bad Dog, is I don't see how we're going to be able to go tit for tat with this Dallas offense, with the way that the Giants offense looked last week without Andrew Thomas in the lineup, with how bad that offensive line looked. I don't think the Giants defense is going to be able to hold the Dallas offense, which I still think is a respectable offense, a good offense, to under 24 to 27 points. And I just can't see the Giants winning in a game like that. If the Giants are going to win this game, I think it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball, getting pressure on Dak Prescott, creating turnovers, and keeping this game in maybe the low 20s. That's the only way I can see the Giants winning a game, especially without Andrew Thomas in the lineup. I think the offense will look better, but that's not saying a whole lot. But if you're telling me what they need to try to do on offense, I mean, you got to get the ball to Neighbors early and often. They couldn't get him the ball early in that game, and by the time they were able to get it to him, the game felt like it was kind of, over. Obviously, Slayton's got to be more involved. He didn't have a catch, but I think it all comes down to the line. Anthony talked about how Russell Wilson's deep ball looked bad, and it did. I remember when we were watching the game together, he missed, I forgot who it was to. He threw the ball on the inside on a deep ball. I think it was to Neighbors, perhaps. It was a horrible throw. But I think also a lot of that has to do with the offensive line. Russ isn't used to playing with an offensive line as piss poor as that line was week one. So if the Giants are going to be better offensively, the line has to be better. I'm not saying it's got to be great, but you got to give your quarterback a chance.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same age as Daboll. I have no hair like Dable. I'm in much better shape than Brian Dable. The Giants got to go for broke. You got nothing to lose, man. You said Andrew Thomas, they're 15. They've lost 15 of 18. Without him, they've lost 15 of their last 18 games anyway. Yeah. What are you saving it for? What are you waiting for? Go back and chuck the ball. Fuck it. Leak down there somewhere. Throw the ball deep, early and often. Stretch the fucking defense. Make them think about it. I don't care if you throw 6 incompletions in a row. I don't care if you throw a couple of interceptions. Make them think you will go deep, especially with, like Anthony said, with that zone coverage. Loosen the defense up so they don't constantly play underneath, so they're not jamming the line of scrimmage, so that you can run the freaking ball. You have to do something completely different that they don't do. Stop this conservative nonsense on offense. You have one of the best wide receivers in the league and Malik Neighbors. We know Russell Wilson can throw the ball deep. He does have the arm to do it. Darius Slayton's also a deep threat. There's a lot of speed on this team. How about we put Jalen Hyatt in there to Adriana's point? How about you get some speed on the field and take advantage of these guys when DeRon Bland's not in the game? Do something completely different. And shit, if you can't hold this pass rush up, which they probably can't. I mean, let's face it, if the 4 of us were the 4 down linemen against our offensive line, we might get some pressure. I mean, let's be honest. That's how bad this offensive line is. So if they're getting pressure early and often, you must run misdirection plays. You practice screen passes the entire offseason and the preseason. Those type of things slow down a big pass rush. You want those guys penetrating so that they're behind the play. Get a couple lead blockers out there and let your running backs work. All 3 of them can catch the football. Get Cam Scatterbo more involved. He's obviously a fire plug. You saw what he did to those defenders. He gives you a spark. He gives you toughness. Then again, this isn't a knock on Tracy or Singletary, but neither one of those guys is crumpling a defender. Neither one of those guys is taking a punishment when you run into him. That's the way you wear down a defense. The Giants have to do it. Roll Russell Wilson the hell out of the pocket. Stop keeping him back there when that pocket continues to collapse on him. Do a lot of pre-snap motion. Try to confuse the defense because you can't line up with anybody, especially without Andrew Thomas, and win at the line of scrimmage. We've seen that. We've seen that for years. So nothing's miraculously going to change just because you're playing Dallas and they don't have Micah Parsons anymore. It does not matter. These guys will look like the 85 Bears with how bad our offensive line has been. So you have to just do completely different. Brian Dable's press conference was completely different than what he normally does. Normally doesn't give you anything. He was an open book, which I was like, good. So just go for broke. You have nothing to freaking lose because you've been losing. So what do you, instead of losing 21-6, we can lose 28-3? Does that make it better? I mean, what the hell's the difference if you lose 17-16 or if you lose 40-0? It's a loss. So just go for it. Just go for it. Yeah. And to Anthony's point, if we don't score a touchdown by the end of the first half, you might see Jackson.
I think that's very possible. I can't believe I'm saying that, but with how bad the offense looked, and knowing that these guys' jobs, they know their jobs are on the line. If this team looks as bad as they did last week, again, I think they're going to feel the pressure to put them in there. I don't know if it'll be this game, but if they look as bad as they did last week, this week, I would actually lean towards, I think we will see Jackson Dart week 3. And if the Giants are going to win this game this week, guys, the red zone offense. I mean, like Anthony said last podcast, we left 10 points on the board or whatever it was inside the 3-yard line last week. If the Giants, you're not going to win any games in the NFL if you can't score from the 1-yard line, the 3-yard line, 2 opportunities that they had last week. So obviously they have to convert when they're inside the 5-yard line every single time this week if they want any opportunity to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Anthony, would you make any player changes going into this game, or would you have a short leash for guys like Hudson, say, or would you add Jalen Hyatt? Would you bench Theo Johnson if he drops another pass and put Bellinger in there, who seems to be our best tight end? Would you do something? Would you be, I don't want to say hit the panic button, but obviously would you, I think you got to start making some moves pretty quick here if it's not panning out.
I think you're right. And I'm definitely not putting Jalen Hyatt on the field since you mentioned that. That's not happening. I know that Darius Slayton didn't play well last week, and I think now he's injured. So I'm sure he'll play a little bit less, and Hyatt will see some snaps as a result. But I'm definitely not looking at this offense and thinking, you know who's going to help it? The guy who dropped all those passes in the preseason. So no Hyatt for me. He'll get some snaps, though. Short leash for sure for James Hudson. If James Hudson continues to struggle, quarterback continues to get killed back there, you bench James Hudson, you put in Marcus Bowe since he looked great in the preseason. And you hope that he sparks something and he carries over that momentum. And then
you hope we don't throw a pass to him, right? You hope we don't throw a pass to him.
That's right. I mean, if that happens again, if the Giants throw another offensive lineman red zone passing attempt this week, I don't know if I'm going to make it to week 3. But then same thing with the quarterback position. I think if you're going to have a short leash for James Hudson, predicated on the fact that Marcus Bowe looked great in the preseason, then I think you have to have a short leash on the quarterback, Russell Wilson, predicated on Jackson Dart looked great in the preseason. So, and again, if you go 6 quarters into the season without scoring a touchdown, that's where my leash ends with Russell Wilson. If you're 6 quarters into the season, meaning at halftime of this game, and you still haven't scored a touchdown, I think you make the quarterback change. And what it comes down to for me, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I know a lot of Giants fans are worried about Andrew Thomas has to be in the lineup first for Jackson Dart. You don't want to make that move to save the jobs of Brian Dable and everybody. If you wait until week 5 to make the move for Jackson Dart and he does look really good, you're going to be kicking yourself thinking, man, we could have been winning games in the first few weeks of the season. We could have made a season out of this. If you wait until week 5, you wait until Andrew Thomas is back. Now you're 0-4 or you're 1-4, whatever you are. Now your season is already lost. It doesn't matter how good Jackson Dart looks. It doesn't matter how many games he wins because you're not going to make the playoffs at that point. But if you put him in after 6 touchdownless quarters in week 2 and he sparks something and he shows some promise and maybe you win some of these games in the first 4 weeks of the season, as long as you can steal 1 or 2 of these games, well, then your season does have a chance. So what it comes down to for me is I don't want Jackson Dart going out there on the field just to save Brian Dable's job. If he's going out there on the field, I want him to know that he has a chance to make a season of this thing, that he has a chance to save the season rather than just save the job of the guy who drafted him and the coach who's coaching him. And if you wait until week 5, he's going out there just to save jobs. If you put him out there in week 2 or week 3, he's going out there to save the season. And I think that's a big difference. And that's why it's a very short leash for me with Russell Wilson. If there's no touchdowns being scored in that first half, I would make the change at halftime, turn the page, and hope that the young rookie does spark something and that we can make a season out of this so that I don't have to sit through another miserable 15 weeks.
The other thing is, if you wait for Andrew Thomas to come back and say he does, and then he gets hurt the next week, what do you do? Are you going to pull Jackson Dart off the field? No. So you can't. And Andrew Thomas ain't reliable. I said it last week. Don't expect that guy to play the entire season. If he gives you a game, great, but don't expect it. Chris, how quick are you to pull the leash on some of these guys and replace them with guys off the bench if they're not getting the job
done? Are we talking about Dart specifically?
Any of, like I said, James Hudson. Are you playing any 4 wide receiver sets where you do get Jalen Hyatt out there with Wandale, Darius Slayton, and could you see them spreading the defense out and maybe running a draw, or just like I said, just having as many receivers out there as you can to try to attack the zone coverage? Like, what do you do? What moves do you make adjustments really quick? Like if they are down 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, are you going to make an adjustment at the beginning of the second quarter?
Assuming Andrew Thomas isn't going to play in this game, which I think is safe to assume based off the stuff that we've seen from the beat reporters and what they've had to say. I think he was limited today. It doesn't look like he's trending towards playing this week. I don't expect the Giants to light it up in the passing game because of what Adriana said. I think that's what they have to do. I don't think they have a choice. I think they have to run a lot of 12 personnel. I think you have to have a lot of 2 tight end sets to be able to protect and not get your quarterback killed, to try to get some kind of ground game established. When you do that, it's just common math, guys. When you have 2 extra guys staying into block, that's 2 extra guys that could be going out for a route. It makes your offense a lot more predictable for the defense, and I think it limits your offense in terms of being able to air it out and create big plays in the pass game, which we saw several times while Daniel Jones was the quarterback because they couldn't block for him and because he couldn't read a defense, not putting it all in the offensive line. But I think that's what they're going to have to do if Andrew Thomas isn't playing, and I expect them to try to run the ball, try to get the ball out of Russ's hands quick, and maybe if the offensive line gets a little bit of a flow, maybe you could look to open it up. But I think the Giants are going to play a lot of 12 personnel in this game, and I think it's going to be a very bland offense, if I'm being honest, because I don't think they could trust that interior offensive line. If it was me, and I'm not putting myself in Dable and Shane's shoes, I don't want to see Jackson Dart this week. Ideally, I don't. But I've recognized that it could be very similar to what happened with Daniel Jones, where we threw him in after 2 weeks. Very entirely possible, because right now this team, they left very little to be desired after the first week. And if it continues to trend that way, I think there will be a change made because they're going to need to create a spark. And I do think they'll think about saving their jobs. For me, I agree with what you said, Baddog. At the end of the day, who's to say that Andrew Thomas won't get hurt? You're right. My mindset is I at least want to give Jackson Dart as best of a chance as I can to get off on the right foot. because once you flip that switch, there's no going back. So if you throw him in there without Andrew Thomas and Andrew Thomas can't come back for 3 more weeks, Jackson Dart's got to start again the next week with this awful offensive line. He's got to start the week after that with this. So for me, ideally, I would like to be able to wait until Andrew Thomas is ready to go. But at the end of the day, do I expect it at this point? No. I think Jackson Dart's going to see the field probably by week 3, if not by week 4, because I think the Giants are going to hit the panic button.
Adriana, same question. If they're struggling, how quick are you to make adjustments if the Giants offense can't get it done?
So I am on board with making changes kind of quickly, but I think I wouldn't make any of like a permanent change until at least halftime. So what I mean by that is if the Giants offense is driving and it's 3rd down and James Hudson gets a holding penalty or it's 2nd down or something, I'm yanking James Hudson off the field and I'm putting in Marcus Bowe at left tackle for that snap and seeing how it goes. Brian Daboll did this all summer. When one of the offensive linemen got a penalty, when someone made a mistake, he yanked them off the field and someone else came back in and took their spot for the next rep or 2. And I think if you're going to have that attitude during the summer when it doesn't matter, you have to have that attitude during the regular season, because those holding calls and the penalties that the offensive line got last week are going to be drive killers. We saw it. They already have. This team is not good enough to fix all of their mistakes. Last week, they got penalties on the offensive line. They couldn't run block and they couldn't pass block. They went 0 for 3 in everything they had to do. They're not going to turn that around overnight. So if someone's getting a penalty or someone's getting blown up, Evan Neal, I know none of us want to see him on the field. He better be dressed on Sunday, or you better have Aaron Stinney ready to go in there at right guard. Because if GVR goes out there and he looks horrible, you have to make some sort of change and see what happens. And for that perspective, I feel like he should probably give it the full half before he makes those types of changes, but I wouldn't hate it if he does it earlier. I think the first half is going to be really telling in this game, because last week, even though the offense sucked as a whole, it seemed like towards the end of the game, they were starting to get a little bit of momentum and maybe things were clicking a little bit. So I think this team is just slow and they're unprepared, and this is what it is under Brian Daboll. So I'm hoping that by the second half, by the time the second game gets going, that we start to see that improvement. So, but I'm with Chris. Like, I'm not rushing Jackson Dart out there. I get the whole injury perspective, but like we've all said, when you switch to Jackson Dart, you're not going back. This isn't a Tommy DeVito, Tyrod Taylor situation. You put in Jackson Dart, he's a starting quarterback for the rest of the season, unless he gets injured. That's it. So I wouldn't rush him out there, because the other thing is, I know we've talked a lot about, Brian Daboll has to save his job, but if Jackson Dart goes out there week 2 and looks like shit and they still lose and they've got a bad offensive line and he does it again week 3 and it takes him a while to develop and the slow offensive line is not helping him, that's also not helping Brian Daboll. So I think, in my opinion, John Mara will keep them on for another year, even if they have a slow-moving first half to the season and the offense can't get the ball rolling, but the defense is keeping them in games, and they put in Jackson Dart. I think as long as Dart looks functional through the second half of the season, let's say they win a couple games here and there, I think Mara's going to keep them.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Real quick, trying to just address something you said. Do you think that their offense kind of found something at the end because Washington was playing prevent when they were up 21-6? Do you think that had anything to do with it, or do you think they actually clicked?
It's probably not a bad call.
Right. just curious.
Yeah.
I'm an impatient guy by nature. I've been very patient with this coaching staff. I think more the patient. I was very patient with Dave Gettleman. Yeah, my post games, I blow up because that's why I like doing them right after the game, because I'm an emotional guy. Everything is raw emotion. And that's why I always do the second video the next day, because I like to actually sit back and analyze it the best I can and talk about stuff in a more calm manner. But this team has been really shitty for a really long time. And again, I don't think Brian Daboll is the type of guy to push the panic button, because I feel like his ego won't allow him to, all right, this is a mistake. I can't have James Hudson in there. Like you said, I think it was you, Adriana, that said, all summer, if there was a mistake, they yanked him off the field. If the guy's getting beat left and right and Russ has no time, or he's committing penalties, why are you going to keep him out there? Obviously, he's hindering your team. Put somebody out there, because even if Marcus Bowe does the same thing, at least you're going to get a look. I mean, this guy, James Hudson's not part of your future. Marcus Bowe could be, so get him some snaps, get him some reps. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. I really don't want to see Jackson Dart in this game either. And the more they can delay him, the better. But, again, Russ isn't the future. And with these guys jobbing the line, and Anthony said, I don't want to see him in there to save their job, but that might be what they're thinking. If they get off to this bad start, we got to do something, and we got to do it quick. Because if we're going to go out, if we're going to lose our job, at least we need to go out down with the ship. If Jackson Dart stinks, we're gone. But if Jackson Dart's good, they're gonna keep us around. So while that may not be what you want to see, that may be what they're thinking. Again, I don't know. I'm not Brian Dable. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in the huddle. I don't know what their plan is. But, at this point, I think you have to do something drastic. Because, again, people will say, it's just one game. It's just one game. That's not true. It's been 10 years. This is a pattern. This isn't just game one. This was all last season. It was all 2023. I know we had a miracle. We had a great 2022, but 2021, 2020, 2019, 20, you go back. It is a pattern with this team of really bad football. No matter who the GM's been the last 10 years, no matter who the head coach has been, there is obviously an issue with this franchise someplace. I think it's Chris Mara, honestly. I think that guy, I think that's the guy. I think you remove that piece, and I think all of a sudden, because he sucks. You can't tell me that everybody that leaves here improves. It just doesn't make sense. How are you going to have all these top picks and they all fail? How is it possible?
Even guys like Ben Bredesen go to other teams and look good. I agree with you, but I think I was talking with someone about this the other day because I was looking at their whole scouting team, and some of them were new under Dable. Some of them have been brought in over the last couple of years. But I think that some of the people who have been here for 5 years or longer have to be reevaluated because something is not right. The amount of players that are either busts, and it's not just Joe Shane, like it's Dave Gettleman, it's Reese, like going back to the last 15 years of drafts. I don't know what type of change that they made, but they have been bad in the drafts, and it's also been in free agency. And it's not like every single player they draft is a bust. They go to other teams and they play well. So something is not right. Not every player in the draft sucks. Not every free agent sucks. Something within, I think the scouting department is not right, and something within the coaching, which is crazy because this is the fourth head coach in the last, or count Coughlin, fifth head coach in the last 10 years. So we've had a lot of different coaches, a lot of different regimes. It's out of control that the fact that these can't get these players to the next level. But I want to throw in Jameis for 1 second, because something else that pissed me off. Jameis is your tallest quarterback, and I get they can only do so much with the roster, but Neal was inactive. If you're not going to use Jalen Hyatt this week, this is what I want to see. Make Jalen Hyatt inactive and make Jameis Winston active. And if you can make it down to the 3-yard line again, put in your 6'4" quarterback and run a quarterback sneak for the next 4 downs until you get there.
Yeah. It's not a horrible idea if he's on the roster. It's not.
Why not? He's 6'4". He's here. Use him. Or Theo Johnson, who's 6'5". I don't give a shit. Try a quarterback sneak with one of these tall, big guys and see what happens. Everyone else does it.
Something. Just do something different. Just do something different. You know what you guys got to do? You guys got to go to SeatGeek. I know the Giants got off to a bad start, but still. Listen, you're probably going to get to see Jackson Dart players sooner than later, right? So we want to
now,
right
last week,
right? So you go to SeatGeek. I mean, you could be their home opener is next week, so you could be seeing Jackson Dart next week. Make sure you go to SeatGeek, who sponsors this portion of the show. Enter that promo code Giants Collective 10 to get 10% off your tickets. You're at SeatGeek. Let's hear from them. We'll be back with your questions after this. 80 seconds. I should have said this. 80 seconds, as Francesca would say, back after this. What's going on, guys and gals? You looking for a fun activity? You want to get out of the house? You need something to do? Are you looking for a great gift idea? Well, if so, look no farther than the sponsor of Giants Collective, which is SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There's more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Giants season is underway. And say you want to check out Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders at MetLife Stadium? Well, it's easy. Just go to SeatGeek, scroll around, look for the tickets that you want, and SeatGeek's going to have your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. That's good. The red dots, well, it's not so good. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use the code Giants Collective for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Giants Collective. Make sure you click that link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring Giants Collective, and let's go Giants! Let's go Giants indeed. And as you see, the screen's changed. This portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. Go to Sleeper, enter the promo code HMA. You get a 100% match deposit all the way up to $100. You get daily fantasy, MLB, college football, college basketball, WNBA, all that good stuff. And pretty much is just picking players and picking over-under. So check out, test your football knowledge. It's a lot of fun. You can do this live in-game. It takes 30 seconds. There's minimum dollar entries. So you can have a lot of fun with Sleeper. So we're proud to have them on board for Giants Collective this season as well. And we're always proud to have on board our guy, SPP Williams. What's going on, our friend from across the way? You want to talk about a diehard fan? It is like midnight when we start this. This is how much he loves the Giants.
He loves the show. He loves it.
He doesn't sleep. Of course, when you're a Giants fan and you know how bad we are, it is hard to sleep. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. You can sleep during the game though. Eventually you can fall asleep. Our guy SPP Williams says, happy collective day. I checked the stream. I missed the other day. No end to cloud, so I didn't miss anything. Looking forward to seeing it tonight. No, not yet. We're working on it. But I mean, yeah, you have it. I have a box of it upstairs. I'm gonna do the SPP Williams face back to him. Good to see you, SPP. Thanks for popping to the stream, man. And the Sleeper sponsor is so appropriate for the Giants offense. So it fits right. It really is. I mean, you can make a lot of, you can do really well. You can get up to 1,000 times your picks. So, I mean, bet under on all the Giants offense. You guys are good. I mean, without question, anytime touchdowns, bet 0. You got it. I mean, it's great. It's not great. I mean, it's great if you're playing Sleeper, but it's not great if you're a Giants fan. It's terrible. Our friend, Dr. Garrett. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. He says, love you guys. Really thinking not clearing house was a mistake. Seeing Alexander and Neal in t-shirts says it all. Do you guys see more than 2 wins?
I do still, but I'm also nuts and a lunatic and definitely a homer because I love my Giants. But I still think the Giants defense has too much talent not to win at least 4 or 5 games this year. I see more than 2 wins. But hey, I've said that before, and they win 2 or 3 games. So I'm not going to rule anything out. And I'd be lying if I didn't agree with the first part of your statement, or at least that thought didn't creep into my head after that game ended, after week 1, is should they have just blown it up? I was a proponent of bringing both back, keeping it together because the Giants have had so many quick turnovers with the head coaches. I wanted Shane to get another year to get his quarterback. And to be fair, I'm not going to completely agree with that mindset until I get to see Jackson Dart throughout the totality of this year with the supposed quarterback guru, Brian Dable. We'll see. He'll get his opportunity this year when he sees the field. But I'd be lying if that didn't creep into my head after that first game, seeing how blatantly obvious it was that this Giants offense was not prepared at all for the 3rd straight year to start the season. So, as of now, I think most Giant fans would agree with that opinion. It feels like we should have blown it up, but we still got a long season ahead, and we haven't even seen Jackson Dart play yet. So we got a long way to go. We had 16 weeks.
I didn't feel that way. Like I said, I think the reason I was so mad after Sunday is because I think I finally came to the realization that I don't believe that they're the guys, but still in the dark recesses of my brain, for some reason, I still, there's just something that won't, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if it's 2022. There's something that just won't, like, I can't give up on them 100%, even though I'm pissed off at them right now. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know why I can't just let it go and somehow think that they're going to turn it around. I should know better. I guess that's just my fandom. I guess it's just what it is. You've been a fan of this team for 43 freaking years. I've seen really great Giants football. I've seen terrible Giants football. And I say it all the time. I feel bad for this generation of Giants fans who have never seen anything good. But I keep thinking to myself, Adriana mentioned him. 5 head coaches in 10 years and nothing's changed. Like it can't just be, there's no way we can keep missing on these head coaches. There's no way we can there's just no way with all these changes that this team continues to be the dregs of the NFL. I just, for the life of me, I don't understand it. And maybe it's just me wishfully thinking that something new is going to happen. And maybe Jackson Dart is that guy. Maybe we just need to play all the rookies. Maybe we need to see Marcus Bowe. Maybe we need to see Cam Scadaboo start. Maybe we need to see Jackson Dart start. Maybe we need to see Darius Alexander get some time. You need a spark. And I don't care where it comes from. But this team is a wet blanket. And somebody's got a lot of fire, man. And something. I thought when Scadaboo had that catch and run where he just ran over the defender, I thought, all right, now we got something. There's a little, and then he didn't see the field again. So
classic.
I don't know. I just go ahead, Anthony.
I'll be the voice of optimism here. I'm still standing by my prediction. I still think we're winning 7 games. I know I said earlier, if they don't score a touchdown in the first half, we should make the switch to Jackson Dart. But I think we will score touchdowns in the first half. I'm going to pick the Giants to win this game. I know I'm a delusional fan. I understand that I'm probably a little bit ridiculous for picking them. But I still think that the Giants are going to win this weekend. I still think that they're going to sneak out another couple of games later this season. I still think they're going to win 7 games. My evaluation on this team 2 weeks ago versus now hasn't changed all that much. I'm disappointed in the coaching staff, and I'm definitely disappointed with the lack of preparation in week 1 and the performance, generally speaking, in week 1. But my evaluation of the talent is the same. They still have, on paper, one of the best defensive lines in football. They just need to figure out how to use them. They still have, on paper, the best wide receiver in football, in my opinion, on film is Malik Neighbors. And they still have an average quarterback in Russell Wilson. Now, they need to figure out how to get this offensive line to play better, whether that's going to be a schematics thing or a personnel change. One of the 2 ways they're going to have to figure that out. And then the secondary, Paulson Adebo, I still think is an upgrade over what we had last year, even though he didn't play great in week 1. And I still think that Javon Holland is going to be a great player. I still think this Giants team is as talented as it was 2 weeks ago. The coaching staff has us all thinking differently, but I still think this is going to be a better year than it has been in the past. It's only been 1 week, and I refuse to hit the panic button and get all doom and gloom and talk about cleaning house after 1 game, because I did that all last year. I wanted to clean house. We didn't clean house, and now we got to suck it up and hope that this season turns around. And I still think the talent is there to turn it around. It's just got to find a way to put practice into play.
I appreciate your optimism, Anthony. And I agree that this team is just as talented as they were 2 weeks ago. Where I may disagree is we may have overrated how talented they were, but we're gonna find out over the next 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. We'll find out. Ultimately, for me, if the Giants are gonna win 7 games, Anthony, this offensive line has to look so much better than they did week 1. You cannot win games looking like that. Period. So we'll find out, and hopefully they can do it without Andrew Thomas in the lineup this week. Because if the offensive line plays like they did last week, lights out this week, no chance.
Yeah.
You're young, Anthony. I'll give you a pass.
I hope he's right.
Somebody has to be optimistic.
I hope he's right too.
Even if I don't fully believe what I'm saying, somebody on the panel has to be optimistic.
I'll tell you though, Anthony, that's what I mean. Like, my fandom won't let me, even though I'm saying we're going to lose, my fandom is saying, I still think we can win. That's just being a fan. Because I don't think Dallas is very good. I really don't. They played Philadelphia well, but there was no Jalen Carter. So, yeah, they're going to run the ball a little bit better. There's going to be a Dexter Lawrence there. But then again, Philly's offensive line is much better than ours, and they shut down Saquon Barkley for the most part, and they shut down A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts hurt them. So Russ isn't Jalen Hurts. He can't run like that. So you got to get the ball out quick, and you got to get it to your guys in space. It's just let them work with the ball. Get this shit out of there immediately. It's got to be short passing, slants across the middle, quick slants, bubble screens. Just get the ball to your guys and nullify the pass rush. That's what they did. And the zone defense, you should be able to have some holes underneath. And you got guys that can run after the catch. So utilize it. And I would like to see Jalen Hyatt get some snaps from the slot. We've all yelled about that.
I'm scared to death on the other side of the ball this week in coverage. Like, if our pass rush doesn't get home, which we never sack Dak. Now, to be fair, we never had Abdul Carter, but we also never used him, apparently. But we have got to get after Dak Prescott. I remember we went like 2.5 years where we hadn't gotten a sack against. We never get pressure on Dak Prescott. And if we don't get pressure on Dak Prescott, with George Pickens out and CeeDee Lamb, they're going to tear our secondary apart. So the pass rush better get home this week if the Giants are going to stand a chance to win this game.
Agreed. Nando, thank you, buddy. He says, Baddog, my son Elias is asking for. No, my son's not really into it yet, and I always stream the game, so he can't be down here when I'm streaming the game. He'll watch bits and pieces of like football with me, like Oklahoma per se. Like he'll sit down and he's good for about a quarter. Then he goes and does his thing. I can't force him to, get into it, but I'm hopeful that he will someday as he gets a little bit older. But no, not yet. I don't want to subject my son to that. That's abuse. I'm not doing that to my kids. No, not yet. Sean Kennard, thank you so much. I keep asking myself if I'm insane. I ask myself the same thing. What did Russ put on Twitter? He said mentally tough. And I retweeted it and said, yeah, I'm either mentally tough or mentally ill because you got to be either one to root for the Giants every week. And you really do. So, yeah, I question my own sanity. But you're a fan, bro. That's what we do. A fan, it's like I say it all the time. It's very easy to be a fan when your team is good. When you're facing adversity year after year after year, this really tests the fandom of a fan base. You know how true a fan you are. So when you're sitting there, you're watching them every week, and probably knowing the outcome, knowing they're going to piss you off, knowing you probably said to yourself, why the hell did I just watch that shit show again? It's just what we do. We're fans. Can't help it, Our guy, Bob. Thank you, bro. I'm with you on this. Elevate Turbo. His speed could be a game changer. If you're not going to play Jalen Hyatt, he's just going to sit on the sideline and not going to snap, activate him. I agree. Go ahead, Adriana. You were going to say something. Sorry.
Now would be the perfect time. Again, if you're not going to use Jalen Hyatt, what are we doing? This is the thing that I really want to see this group of people in the front office figure out is roster management. Because if Andrew Thomas is out again, Jalen Hyatt doesn't get a snap, like what are we doing? Use those spots for people who you're going to put in the game, or at least who can be there as an option. Why not make Jameis Winston active as your emergency third quarterback? Wouldn't be the first time if, God forbid, something happened and we had to play the third quarterback. I just wish that they would figure that out a little bit better. Like, did you guys see that they signed the former Jets kick returner who got cut by Aaron Glenn because he fumbled? And we have Amir Smith-Marset on our practice squad and Turbo on our practice squad. What are we doing?
I still don't know how Smith-Marset didn't make the 53-man roster. And as Anthony pointed out on Twitter today, Wan'Dale Robinson sprained his ankle returning a kick. Inexplicably, you have one of the best kick returners in the NFL. Well, I don't know statistically if he was, but he was a great kick returner for the New York Giants over the last half of last season. And you have Gunnar on the roster. I didn't love the move, but I said, okay, if Gunner's on the roster, well, he better be returning kicks. Well, he's not. Wan'Dale Robinson is returning kicks. So it goes back to your point about the roster management. Like, you have Smith-Marset on your practice squad. Why isn't he on the roster week one if your plan is to have Wan'Dale Robinson returning kicks? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Why is your roster management that Abdul Carter plays 50% of the snaps? Cam Scatterbo gets 4 snaps or 8, whatever the hell he had. I don't understand. You couldn't move the ball, and you weren't getting a lot of pressure on Jaden Daniels, except for when Abdul Carter was out there, and Brian Burns did his part, obviously. But why are you not changing things? If it's not working, why don't you just make a move? You're not pulling the whole team off. You're changing a player here or there. I mean, make an adjustment. I think we're such a bad team at making adjustments. Don't make any adjustments. That's why they kept attacking a soft zone we played. Second down and 17. Well, they got 16 of it back. Third down and 11, they get 14 yards. Why? Because he just threw the ball underneath 8 yards. Just, hey, bro, it wasn't even a play. Bro, go run out 8 yards, turn around, I'll hit you. And then run with the ball. That's what it was. Yeah. The Giants never, ever adjusted that, and they never clamped down on it. And again, our corners are better press corners, and they play zone. It's like they go away from every guy's strength on this team, and they just say, let's play their weak. Let's have a game plan for everybody's weakness. This is why I'm down on Dable. I don't understand the game plan. I just don't. I don't understand the moves. I don't claim to be an NFL coach or an analyst or any of that shit. I'm just a fan. But I mean, my God, if I see something's not working, I'm going to change it no matter what the hell I'm doing. So, shit. I mean, if I'm bowling And I'm a down and in guy, and I like to go straight up the second arrow, and that's not working. And I'm like, well, I might have to go out of my comfort zone and play a different angle. I got to do it. So if you're not scoring, do something else. You got to have some kind of backup plan, don't you? And that goes to Anthony's point of lack of preparation. You had the first year that these guys were there. I remember Chris and I would do the show at Patty, and we'd be talking about how prepared they were. They had like an A plan, a B plan, a C plan. It's like if something happened, they didn't shrug it. They just went and moved on to the next thing, and it was successful. I don't know what happened to that. I don't understand at all. Our guy SVP Williams, what coaches do we want to keep? I was thinking maybe Andre Patterson, interim head coach. He can't be worse. Take anyone in this chat and they wouldn't be worse.
I was wondering about that. If someone, so I had this conversation too with my crazy family Giants group chat. And we were saying, like, if they end up firing Dable mid-year, which I don't really think that they do, she was worried that they would have Bowen be the head coach. But my thought process was it's going to be Kafka because he's the assistant head coach now. But I look through some of the coaches and the positions, and I'm like, I don't know. Has Mike Rowe made that much of a difference for the wide receivers? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they fired Dable mid-year, especially with Jackson Dart starting. Yeah. You know, that's the main reason why Dable got this job to begin with. I think you give Dable the year with Dart and you see how he does, but I definitely could see Dable not seeing next year. And if his question is what coaches see next year, that's going to depend on the outlook of this team, man. If Dable loses his job and Shane loses their job, everybody loses their job. I mean, you may see one or two positional coaches come back, and maybe Patterson would be one of them, but it's not like the interior defensive line looked very good. I know he's got a great reputation, and we all praised him his first year here with the elevation we saw in Dexter's game, and I know he's a really good defensive line coach, but I think all coaches are probably going to be looking for jobs if you end up, flipping everything over at the end of the year. Hopefully it doesn't come to that point. Hopefully we bring the whole coaching staff back. That would mean we had a fairly successful year. But I'd be surprised if Dable gets fired mid-year this year, especially due to the fact that we have Jackson Dart, in his first year as a quarterback.
I wouldn't be shocked. If this team continues to be this unprepared, make this many boneheaded mistakes, and look this bad for the next 8 weeks, I wouldn't be shocked if there's midseason firings, because at least the argument that we make for Dart is we want to get him out there at some point so we can get an idea of what he is so that we can plan accordingly going into next year. I think you could also make that same argument for Mike Kafka. You would want to see him audition for that role for a few weeks because he is such a highly sought after candidate for head coaching jobs around the league. He's done plenty of head coaching interviews. Seems like everybody around the league thinks that the Giants are holding on to a golden goose except for the New York Giants, right? Everybody's interested in Mike Kafka. I know, Chris, you think that there might be other reasons that teams interview him, but I think that Kafka potentially could be a good coach, and I wouldn't want to go through the entire year knowing we're going to blow it up at the end of the year, potentially, fire everybody, clean house, do it midseason, give Kafka the chance to audition since he's gotten all these interviews. And if he does well, then you know what, maybe he can be an option next year, although I don't think.
Well, the only way Kafka comes back is if you don't fire Shane. In that scenario, right? I mean, if you bring in a new GM, you're stuck.
Not necessarily. I think,
yeah,
possibly, but I don't think necessarily. I mean, what if you bring in a new GM from? So let's use Seattle's front office as an example. Seattle tried to hire Kafka as a head coach and as an offensive coordinator. They wanted to hire him as an offensive coordinator in a lateral move because they think so highly of him, and the Giants blocked that and made him assistant head coach. Just imagine a world where the Giants, and again, it's just to open yourself up to any possibility. If the Giants take somebody out of Seattle's front office and he's the new GM, maybe he's like, I loved Kafka in our interviews. He just did a great job in the final 4 weeks of the season with this Giants team. Maybe they go ahead and hire him. So I'm just saying you got to leave your options open, but you also, you got to give the coach a chance to audition is what I'm saying, which is why if you know you're going to fire Dable at the end of the season, do it like a month before the season ends just so you can get an idea of what you have.
You know who would love to see Mike Kafka become the head coach? Marcus Bowe. He would love it. He threw the touchdown pass to him.
Right. Yeah. He tried to do a touchdown pass and we didn't. But I agree with Anthony in that aspect. Reason being, you might as well, because just take a look. Maybe either you have your head coach next year if Kafka did do a really good job, and Jackson Dart's obviously familiar with Mike Kafka. So perhaps that's what you want to do. And if he stinks, then you're dumping. But if he's good, then you have your head coach and you can go on from there. And you don't really have to make a lot of adjustments because he knows the system. He's going to have his own system. Dart's going to be used to him. So it wouldn't be that much of a setback for Jackson Dart. Now, if Kafka is the head coach, Kafka, you say potato, I say potato. Nobody says potato, but that is the song. Anyway, if he stinks and they both stink, then you're probably sweeping everything under the carpet. It's all over. So, yeah, you might as well let him audition. And if you see that he's really bad, then you start preparing for next year. You start looking at head coaches. You start looking at other GMs. You start looking at everything else. What a shitty spot to be talking about.
I don't want to be talking about
Week 1.
Yeah, I don't want to be talking about this.
Horrible.
So brutal.
I'd be stunned. I'd be stunned if Dable gets fired this year. In season. Obviously, after the season, I wouldn't be stunned at all. But in season,
Giants fan, it's terrible. What did we do to deserve this? Must have made somebody mad. Big Moo, the legendary Big Moo. Thank you, buddy. He says, I think we stay with Russ until we're 4 games under 500. But what do I know? I'm just a stupid delusional fan that always has hope. It's most of us. It's most of us. We're all pretty. We got to be stupid to keep rooting for this team. Gotta be. There's something not right. Something's not right with us. Chris B, thank you, bro. CeeDee Lamb's going for 180 and 2 touchdowns after last week's drops.
probably.
I'm glad I'm not playing on fantasy football this week. I'll tell you that.
You know, Dak's going to run up his stats against us this week because he didn't put up good stats against the Eagles. Yeah,
of course.
No.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Saraf Network, thank you, man. He says, if Tomlin had this roster, how does this team do? We're probably 11-6.
I was going to say, I'd feel very confident in it that we'd be at least 9-8.
We'd be I don't know that he's ever had a losing season.
I'd say 8 or 9 wins if we had Tomlin as the head coach, which, I think he'd hover us right around 500.
I don't know.
I think we go to the playoffs. He just went to the playoffs last year with Russell Wilson.
So I'm saying.
I think they have a better overall roster than we do. They have a better overall defense. They could actually defend the run. They have a better offensive line than we do.
They do, but he's in the AFC and we're in the NFC, and I think the NFC is less competitive than the AFC.
Yeah. He's a great coach. Great coach.
And he plays in a tough division. That division's tough.
Yeah.
So
Tomlin's
he knows what he's doing. Tomlin's one of the best. One of the best. You know what else is the best? Sleeper. Check out Sleeper, guys. Like I said, click that link in the description and get a 100% match deposit bonus up to $100. Use that promo code HMA. We have a quick 30-second bumper here from Sleeper. Check it out. Be back after this.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Yes, sir. Check out Sleeper. Bob, thank you, brother. Have the Giants learned nothing from the Seahorn kick return? Baddog knows. I know what you're talking about. And how about Dory Jackson? He's another one.
Yep.
We don't learn. This is why we constantly suck. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And I'm just scrolling through these because the super chats usually pop up in separate spots. And they're not doing that tonight. So I have to scroll through their chat. So if I missed anyone, I don't think I did, but I appreciate it. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I don't want to see that. It ruined Seahorn's career. And that was in a preseason game against the Jets, because in 97, the Giants made the postseason, but they had no offense because Danny Cannell was a damn quarterback and Chris Callaway couldn't handle a damn onside kick. I don't want to talk about this. It's bad enough. I don't need to relive when we were actually decent. That's one of the most heartbreaking losses I've ever had to deal with. It's stupid 96. Giants they're going to put me in an early grave. It is what it is. Man Deep, thank you so much. What's up, guys? Been taking my 10-year-old son to the Giants game every time they're in Dallas. At least 5 years. Now I'm afraid he might come home a Cowgirls fan. He's been asking why we suck.
Poor kid.
Don't let him be a Cowboy. My kid already knows. Even though the Giants stink and he doesn't really watch them, I always just let him know that you're a Giants fan. I let him know that. Don't tell him the Eagles, the Cowboys suck. And he knows. He knows to say that. So we
Man, Deep, just keep your kid away from the VCR and the VHS tapes, and you'll keep him. He won't be a Cowboys fan. Keep him away from the VHS tapes. Yeah,
don't worry. The Cowboys ain't won anything either. They just beat us. Man, everybody beats us. Just tell them that we're just, we're hustling them. We're going to come out of nowhere and we're going to be a good team. So just tell him it's right around the corner. He's young, so you can kind of influence him. Just say, they're just having a bad year, but they'll be good next year. Just stay. We got Jackson Dart. Things are going to change. You lie to him he'll believe you for a while. When he gets to be, well, if we suck in 4 years and he's 14, well, God bless you. He probably is going to be a different. Couldn't blame him for that. Cruise on, thank you, Brian Flores. Is he still suing the Giants? I have not heard anything about that.
I would love Brian Flores. I just, because of what you just said, Cruz, it's never going to happen. He openly came out and I don't know if he blatantly said it about the Giants specifically, but he basically called them racist along with like 3 or 4 other organizations. So I very much doubt the Giants would turn around and hire him. But I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he should already be a head coach of the league. I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. I think he did a phenomenal job as the Miami head coach, and they ran him out of there because they were trying to tank, and I think they ended up winning 8 or 9 games. So I'm a big fan of Flores, and I hope he gets a head coaching opportunity somewhere else, but I don't think it'll be here.
What's Robert Saleh doing right now?
I don't want him as the head coach either.
I want him as our defensive coordinator. I don't want him as
the Niners.
My dream candidate for head coach, we had a shot when we got Joe Judge. That was Harbaugh, and we didn't grab him, and now he's with the Chargers. So it is. What
about John Harbaugh? Maybe he's on the way out in Baltimore.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
He shouldn't be.
Tomlin is more realistic. Tomlin's the one.
Tomlin's very realistic. I could see him being out this year with Pittsburgh. Yes, I could see that.
I would love an actual successful head coach. It would be.
What about that UNC head coach? What's his name?
That Belichick guy. I mean, I don't know. Belichick's.
Did they win? I didn't follow. Did they win week 2, North Carolina?
I don't know. I didn't even see.
I don't think they played yet, did they?
Oh, they didn't play. Okay, so they've only played 1 game so far. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just Belichick's a little long in the tooth, but God Almighty. Danny Dudd says, "Give me Gruden." What do you guys think about John Gruden?
I see those comments a lot. A lot of comments about that on Fireside Giants lately. People love Gruden. People really want to see Gruden as the head coach. I don't know. I think that he clearly has an affinity for Jackson Dart, loves Jackson Dart, wants to coach Jackson Dart. He said that, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I think going back in time is not exactly the move that the Giants need to be doing again. I feel like that's what they do a lot of, is going back in time. And Gruden is from a different era. He hasn't coached in the league in years. Yes, he's one of the best coaches of all time, and he's really smart and all that. But again, I just don't know if going back in time is the right move for this Giants team at this moment.
Remember who was Bill Cowher? Remember Giants fans used to slobber over him, Baddog, for years.
Oh, yeah.
Years and years. When he was on CBS, they always wanted it. Same thing with Gruden. I don't want him. Like Anthony just said, he's been out of the league for so long. I just hope it's stable next year, because I hope this team turns it around and they start to look good. But I don't think I'd want Gruden. I would want somebody who's coached more recently than John Gruden.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I feel like the only reason people like him is because he talked about how much he loves Dart. But I think, I give Dable a lot of grief for like the country club attitude, because I think it's too lax. But I don't know if the Gruden's work in the current NFL, kind of like what Chris was saying, like it's so different now that I just don't know if he would be able to, having been removed from it so long, like be able to connect with the players and whatever. And maybe that doesn't matter, but we've heard so much of like the players going to bat for Dable, and it's because they like him. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think he's been out of the game too long. Go ahead, Anthony.
Out of the guys who love Jackson Dart, because that's why everybody's saying Gruden, because he loves Jackson Dart, I would be more interested in potentially trying to pry away Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. I think he's a great coach. He obviously knows how to coach Jackson Dart. He's coached several successful programs, and I think if you're going to go the Jackson Dart connection path, try and get one of the best college head coaches in the nation right now and pull him up the ranks and get him into the NFL.
My mindset on this, Anthony, though, is because if we're going to be making a coaching change, which again, I hate talking about this after 1 week, hopefully they beat the Cowboys and we're so amped up for week 3 against the Chiefs, looking to get to 2-1. That would be nice to do next week. But my mindset, Anthony, if they are going to be looking for a coach next year, we probably only won 3 or 4 games this year. And at that point, like, I'm not looking for a coach to fit around Jackson Dart. I'm just looking
I agree.
I'm just looking for the best coach I could possibly get. I'm looking for the best GM I could possibly get. And if they like Jackson Dart and they want to keep him, fine. If they want a quarterback and they want to draft him, fine. I'm not looking to fit a coach in that scenario where we win 3 games to piece with Jackson Dart. No, I'm looking to get the best coach I possibly can.
I totally agree with you. I only threw that out there just because fans are calling for Gruden because of the Jackson Dart connection. And the way I see it, if the Giants only win 2 games this year, everything is on the table. Taking a quarterback 1st or 3rd overall is on the table. If the new GM wants to do that, everything is on the table. But again, I think the Giants are winning this weekend. I don't think we're having these conversations at the end of the year. I'm still holding out hope.
Well, they win 7 games, Anthony. If they win 7 games, Dable's coming back. So
yeah, Dable's coming back, and Jackson Dart's going to be the full-time starter next year, and we're going to add some more pieces around him. We're going to go to playoffs in 2026. That's what I'm still holding out hope for.
Let's do it.
We're going to hold out hope until next show. So thank you guys for watching Giants Collective. Again, huge shout out to Sleeper. Make sure you click the link in the description, play some Sleeper. You can do it tonight. The Packers and Commanders are about to kick off, so you can do that. Make sure you enter that promo code HMA to get a 100% match deposit bonus all the way up to $100 in your first deposit. Check them out. Also, big shout out to SeatGeek. If you want to get some Giants tickets, well, they might be cheap. You still get an extra 10% off. Just enter the promo code Giants Collective 10 to get 10% off your tickets. That's always a lot of fun. Again, check us out on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeart for the podcast. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram. And make sure you guys like and subscribe. Share the channel out. We appreciate you. Hopefully, when we come back on Tuesday, we are 1-1 and our attitudes are completely different. So, with that said, I'm going to get out of here. Let you guys and girls enjoy the football game tonight. For Adriana, Anthony, Entertainah, it's Baddog. We out. Enjoy your weekend. See you soon. Peace.